Heyo, what's going on? Welcome to the QB School NFL Draft Week. Fired up for this one. If it sounds good, hit me with your favorite emoji. If you're a member, come at me strong. See what you got. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here, checking in, letting me know that everything sounds good and we are locked in for some draft. Can't wait for some technical issues during this draft to go down. I heard there were some technical glitches in the kind of trial run today, but I'm sure there will be. I can only imagine. I know my own technical issues cause me all sorts of different anxiety, but it is one of those things where it's just tough to imagine this thing going good all the way through with so many moving parts for the league, but I am fascinated by it and I am locked in for it. In addition, make sure you get your mind right for post draft round one, at least round one. Live stream. We'll do it live. I'm locked in. Have no idea what time that'll be. I think it's 8:30 Pacific time. Probably too late for some of y'all, but hopefully we got some stuff to talk about. There's usually some sort of craziness happens quarterback wise the end of the first round. So I will be locked in and loaded. Not that kind of loaded probably, but locked in to do a live stream right after the first round of the draft. Try it out. First time kind of doing a live stream post event. So that should be fun. I'm locked in with that. I'll see if I can figure out how to get that thing scheduled out so we can make it. But I appreciate y'all being here. It's going to be a fun week. I'm fired up. Hopefully you enjoyed the Herbert video today if you got a chance to watch it. I know it's a little long, but I think some good stuff in there. He's just a hard guy to get a good feeling about, really. And it's been the reason that I've kind of keep going back to him is just because the little of the draft stuff that I watch or see, on a ticker or on ESPN or on some sort of website, the more I keep seeing him at 5 going to the Dolphins, and I don't know, man. I don't quite get it. And so I've been essentially, I don't know what's the right word. I've been nudged enough that I am going to come out with the first ever QB School quarterback draft ranking. Now I haven't. I gotta figure out exactly how I want to do it because I don't really want to give a comprehensive list of maybe I might do 2 different ways. One way that I think that they will come off the board, but I mean, who really cares about that? I want something to say hey, in 3 years, when Justin Herbert is the new Patrick Mahomes, I want people to come back to the QB school and be like, this guy was wrong, and just eat at me forever. And so basically what I think I'm going to do is, the other thing about this is if y'all are a fan of the channel, I'm assuming you're a fan of the channel if you're watching a live stream of it, but I've only watched so much film. I'm not a professional scout. Everything that I've watched, I've put up. Now, you might not be a Patreon supporter, so you don't get every single one, but I mean, the ones that I put out on YouTube, those are the only games that I watched or have watched. I wasn't necessarily evaluating people in the fall. It's only whatever's on there is what I've done. And so what I think I'm going to do is just make a list. This is what I think. You let me know if it sounds not great, but I really think I'm going to make a list of the guys that I've watched and done a video of and just rank them in how I would draft them if my franchise was, ready to go, in need of a quarterback, had to have one. Which one would I take and in what order? And I think that there will be some surprises. I really do. I think you'll get an idea of one of the surprises tomorrow. But, I got question marks about some of these guys. Some of them, too, I just haven't watched that much of. I've only watched a handful of plays of Jordan Love. Besides the fact that I wasn't that interested to ask around for more film, I only had one game. So I only had one game of Nate Stanley. And so there's only so much film I could watch, but some of the guys that I watched more of, I really liked, and some of the guys I watched more of, I really had more questions marks than anything else. But the Herbert one to me is just at the forefront of a little bit of this, just because he's getting so much attention. He looks the part. you know, still had a really nice career. You know, win the Pac-12, you know, all sorts of, I think some fair criticisms of what they were doing schematically, some of the things he was being asked to do. And so all those things go into it. And really, the other part about these lists that I just dislike is so much of it is luck. Like, I get it that it's hard to wrap your mind around as a fan. Like, I have been a fan. I remember it's difficult to wrap your mind around the luck element of this draft, because the good players, the first round pick is going to go to the worst team. So, you know, it's very rare for those guys to go in there and be really good right away, because the team's not that good. And it's almost a benefit to fall. You know, you see guys fall and it's painful to watch on TV or for whatever reason, and it makes their have a chip on their shoulder, but they're usually fall into a better situation. And so, you know, it's one of those things where I don't want to make a list of who's going to have the best career, because that's a lot of it is luck. It really is. A lot of it is luck. But so all I'm going to do, I think I know one way I'm going to do it is I'm just going to rank the order that I would pick them. And I think there will probably be some surprises. So that will be Wednesday, and give you all a little time to digest it, and then we'll come back and we'll do it live Thursday. So see what we got here. Bold statement. Micah coming in hot with the Nate Stanley train. I like it. Yeah, I mean, again, the thing for me is that if you're not the number one pick, you know, if you're going to the Dolphins, or if you're going to the Chargers, you know, or someone trading up in those first 5 spots, you know, you hope someone trades up for you. And I think that's another thing that's been interesting to see, the numbers on that about recent quarterback drafts, where guys have organizations have gone up, they've fallen in love with someone, gone up and got someone. It usually it's worked out a little bit better for a handful of reasons. It's not just that they wanted it, identified it, but to go up means that you have to be a better team. You're lower in the draft. And so it's all those factors, that so much of it is luck, you know. And I don't know. It's one of those things this week. I just remember being so, you know, just wanting it over at this point of the draft, and knowing that I wasn't going to go in the first round, and so I was going to have to sit and suffer for a day or two. But it's a crazy environment. It really is. All right, so hit me with some questions. We go any direction you want to go. I know there's some Wonderlic stuff going on this weekend. I know there's some, you know, all sorts of different ways that this draft is going to affect so many teams. So I appreciate you all checking in tonight. Cheers. Michael, you don't think? I mean, I guess, you know, I know that there were some whispers about Burrow pulling an Eli early in this process, and, you know, I'm not in his family or in his circle or the decision making, but I would be really hesitant about going to Cincinnati. That's just the truth. And, you know, I know Joe Burrow is working out with Jordan Palmer, and I know in Southern California, you know, a nice piece over the weekend I saw, I don't know when it came out, but I saw it over the weekend, about the kind of pre-draft development and kind of that they do, and that Jordan's become kind of the guru for. And I mean, I'm telling you, Jordan Palmer knows what goes on in the Cincinnati organization. I know that there has got to be this amazing kind of feeling of pride to know that you're the number one pick, and when you're in it, you might not be able to look at it from a macro view, but going to a different organization, you know, I think would be a really really great thing for Joe Burrow. I don't necessarily wish that on anyone. Yeah, Archie did pull that on Michael on the Eli thing, because Archie had played in the league and knows what it's like to play for a franchise that isn't willing to commit everything they possibly can to winning all the time, and live through, you know, whatever the bad luck of New Orleans Saints when Archie Manning was playing. But, you know, in retrospect, I think probably Eli feels pretty good about it. Hey, old Martin Dean coming in with the super chat. I like it. I have no idea what AS is. Someone get me in on the currency exchange. We'll talk about it. What team would you want to go to if you were in this year's draft? Ooh, what would you be looking for in a team? Play the hypothetical card. I mean, I'd want to go to New England for sure. Right? If not New England, I'd want to go probably to the Steelers, just because of the long-term organization stability and kind of culture of winning. I think the 49ers would be a great spot. I know that was a, hotly contested kind of idea that they were going to do something, which I think would be kind of silly. But if I was a young quarterback, I would love to be in San Francisco. And, I think that there's a number of really good spots. I just think that it's one of those things. It's such a bizarre dynamic to be punished by being better. So because you're better a player, you're going to go to the worst team in the first round. And I get it, when you're a first-round pick, you don't think it matters, but I'm telling you, halfway through the season, it matters. And then halfway through your career, it really matters. And so, I think one of the underlying stories that's going to be really interesting is what New England does. Do they move up and try to get someone? Do they say they're going to roll with what they got? I wouldn't be surprised either way. But inevitably, there are a number of guys that I think are first-round-ish. Herbert, Love. I think you can make arguments that other guys might sneak up there depending on how fast those guys go off the board. But I'm fascinated to see what happens with Hurts. Guy who was a quarterback at probably 2 of the top 5 programs, and is the natural leader. Yeah, he might not spin it well enough to be an everyday starter right now, but guys get better throwing the ball. That's the thing about it that he's a competitor. He's got some characteristics that have, recently become in vogue in the league that I think he could go in there and play. He's someone that really intrigues me, as opposed to a big, strong guy who rips it, who's a transfer, who didn't play that well when he transferred. I get that there are some tangible size things that people just can't get past. Like, he looks the part. Well, those days are kind of over. You don't have to look the part anymore. You got to go out there and produce and be accurate and have great decision making, all those things. So, hopefully that answers your question. Let me know what organization y'all would want to go to besides your fan team. All right. Oh, super chat. Casey J, can you give an example of a defensive play call and how it works? For Beaver Meat Log. What? I don't know if I got the second part, but I can give you a quick defensive call. It's pretty similar. Both offensive and defensive kind of play calls have similar kind of linear building. What I mean by that is defensive play calls usually build from the inside out. So you usually have the front. Then if there's a pressure, you'll usually name the pressure, and then you'll name the coverage. So it would be like kind of an over would be the front, cover 2, over quarters, under man free, under strong dog, 3. And so it's usually just front, pressure if there is one, coverage. Defense, pretty simple. Don't let those guys confuse you. Appreciate the support, though. Very cool. See if I can turn up the volume. Sound better now? Let me know if it still sounds too low. See if I can crank this thing up. You guys got to let me know if it sounds too low. I can't hear myself. Good. Yeah, if you're having issues with the sound, you got to shout out, man. Don't keep it to yourself. Oh, we got Germany in the house. I appreciate you all checking in. It's always fun to hop on here early. If you're ever on here early, I try to, I appreciate you guys letting me know where you're listening from. It's cool to see the reach of this thing. Ooh, Springfield 03 Sniper. What did you score on the Wonderlic? You know what? I know that I have a Wonderlic video because I reposted it when I saw it trending this week on Twitter. I want to say I scored like 33 or 35 or something. I don't know. You end up taking it a handful of different times. I don't even know if that's the real score, to be honest with you. It's just on the internet. I don't remember exactly what I got. I think I do tell the story of Randall L on that video, though. It's the Wonderlic thing for me. So I might as well circle back to it because it came up this week, and it's relevant, I think, to quarterbacks. Whatever Tua got, like 13. First of all, those scores are leaked for a reason. That's the nicest way I'm going to put it. So I don't think you have to look very far to see who's in competition with Tua for that kind of spot to see where something like that might come about. That's just my opinion. Conspiracy theory. Those things don't just randomly come out, I don't think, right now. But the essence of those things, like most people, who are watching this, some people are really good test takers. Some people come from privileged, backgrounds that education and test taking was taught to you. And it is, in my opinion, a learned skill, especially those type of tests, a timed, cognitive thinking kind of problem solving type test to understand the dynamics of how to do those things better. Now, is there some baseline? Absolutely, probably correlation between IQ and Wonderlic. Probably, I don't know what it is, but I'll tell you what there isn't. There isn't a direct correlation between Wonderlic score and NFL career or production as an NFL player. Because I was around a bunch of cats that I would bet a lot of money were in single digits that were ballers and were uncoverable and were unblockable and all those things. And so I get how people think that there might be a better correlation for the quarterback position. I just don't necessarily think so, because it isn't the same type of thinking. It's not necessarily cognitive, multiple. I mean, there is some multiple layer kind of intuitive problem solving playing quarterback, but a lot of it is pattern recognition and ability to process information really quickly on really snapshot things and rely on your athletic ability and your repeatable throwing motion to be accurate. And so it's not necessarily the same as like if two trains leave on the railroad going in the opposite direction, when will they cross, around the world? It's just not, it's not it, and for anybody who's ever struggled with the, those type of tests, I think you understand the difference between like real world smarts and like SAT smarts. And you can have both, and that's pretty rare, or you can usually tilt on one side or the other. And so I think that for me, if I was in that position, I would look at the Wonderlic score for quarterbacks as a variable. Now, if it's so low that there might be some sort of like learning issue, then I think it is, another variable to investigate and be able to, see if someone has a, is there a potential learning disability? Is there a potential, were they sick that day? Was there something out of the norm for what their situation is, if it doesn't match their type of play and how they performed in interviews and how they talk about ball and all those things. And so, again, it's just one variable. And I think it's fascinating that it gets so much attention, mostly by people who, have never played at that level and don't realize that so many guys don't operate at, the absolute Ivy League level of cognitive thinking, but still are pretty damn good football players and don't necessarily have to. And in fact, I would argue that you probably don't want a team of, two smart dudes, if that makes sense. There is an element of guys who, you have to be willing to kind of stick your nose in there a little bit, and that doesn't always correlate with the smartest cat in the room. And so, there's a fine balance for me with that type of stuff. I just think it especially gets ratcheted up in the tension when you start thinking when there are racial elements of it coming into it. There's, if you're calling someone not smart because they did poorly on a test that might be, biased in any number of different ways. I'm not that type of researcher, but I can tell you that there's a lot of research on those type of tests being culturally biased. Now, have I read every single study on it? No. Have I done a literature review on it? No. But I'm pretty sure there's significant evidence that that is the case. And so I think that you have to be really well informed when you start talking about those type of things. All I can tell you that really matters is it doesn't really matter. Is the nicest way I can put it. But go check out that video. The Green Cake, do you see Herbert as a legitimate candidate to be a franchise quarterback and a top 10 pick? I think he's going to be a top 10 pick. That's just the reality of it. I think if you're in the top 10 pick, you're drafted to be a franchise quarterback, no doubt about it. That being said, the evidence and the career that he's put together and the trajectory of his improvement, to me, doesn't put him on a trajectory, on a path for that. And so, does that mean he can't? No. Can he get better? Can he get into a perfect situation? Can the coaching, accelerate that growth? Absolutely. I'm not, cares what, it's just right now, my take on it is that he looks like he doesn't, something is not clicking at full cylinders when he's back in the pocket making decisions. It's it's never early. It's really rarely, if ever, an anticipation throw, other than like an out, which is really easy to see clean like a route on air. If it's over the middle, a post, a dig, it's very much see it, throw it, fastball, as opposed to anticipation, any sort of touch, any sort of like mid-tier iron shot. It's just, and you can't do that in the league every single Sunday. You just can't. And so I don't see it right now, but I'm sure that, he probably thinks that, and there's a coach out there in the top 10 that thinks that he absolutely is the perfect fit to their system. And so it's going to happen. And I think the Mitch Trubisky thing is it's kind of it's a little bit of a dig comparison. Again, I don't love comparisons because these guys are such freak athletes that they're, I know it's easy to wrap your mind around as like a mental model of like, oh, it's just another Mitch Trubisky. But it's not. It's not that clean for me. Now, it could be. But, I mean, Mitch Trubisky came in and had some good success pretty early. Now, the league has kind of caught up to him, and the smoke and mirrors with Nagy has kind of changed a little bit. But I think that there, are some similarities as far as processing from the pocket. I think tomorrow's video with Tua will show maybe my favorite anticipation throw I've seen this entire process of evaluating quarterbacks. And I mean, Joe Burrow makes a bunch of anticipation throws. Don't get me wrong. There are a bunch of guys that can make anticipation throws. But the consistency tethered to the accuracy, for me, Herbert's got one club. It's a driver. When he sees it, throws it, it's locked in, and it looks nice. But it's just more often than not that. And so, it's a hard guy. For me, it would be a hard guy if I'm a GM in the top 5 being like, yup, stamp, let's roll. But, it was the same, it's not the same way. I mean, every GM in the league let Patrick Mahomes go in the first 10 picks, I think, whenever he went, 11th or something. So, I mean, it's one of those things it's tough to necessarily lock in on. For me, that's just me. He does have a massive ceiling, though. There's no doubt about it if he continues to improve. Super chat, Casey J. See what you got here. Why don't defensive coaches get more head coaching jobs? I mean, I think the easiest answer is it's an offensive-driven league. Really, it's a quarterback-driven league more than anything else. And so, if you don't have some path of either coaching quarterbacks, calling plays offensively, I think it's a lot harder to become to become a head coach, just because, I think owners, fans, franchises want to be attached to. They see the importance of the quarterback position and understand that you got to have someone who knows how to handle that role. And, the easiest way is from being a quarterback coach or a coordinator and having that type of relationship. And so that's the main reason. The other underlying part, well, I could probably say there are probably some, I won't even say it. SD Islander. All right, here we go. Situational ball. Fourth quarter. 2-minute drive, down 4 in the Super Bowl. Your life depended on it. Who's your wide receiver number 1, running back, tight end, and LT you taking? Oh, you not going against 2000 Ravens D? That's a good question. I mean, for me, it's Jerry Rice. I know that's probably not the most popular pick, and I know that the game has gotten better, but for me, it's Jerry Rice. Running back for me, I loved Barry Sanders. Like, that was my dude growing up. So I got to probably say Barry Sanders. I think you could make a bunch of arguments a bunch of different ways. Walter Payton, Jim Brown, those type of things. You couldn't go wrong, but I'd probably roll Barry. Tight end. I mean, I played with Antonio Gates, but I'd probably say Tony Gonzalez. Left tackle, Munoz or Pace. But I mean, yeah, those are all good options. I mean, if you got one chance for that, you're going to be locked in. But those are probably my favorite, but that probably dates me more than anything else. I think that there are generational guys. You can make that lineup for every generation. But let me know. Give me your lineup. Calfin, appreciate it. Look at that. Keep it up. Biceps. I like it. I'm telling you, the best purchase I've made in this quarantine craziness, COVID, is nice set of barbells. Power block, man. If you get them, if you can find them. Barry is a goat. Shane, that's a good question. Who's your favorite play caller in the league right now? I mean, that's tough for me to answer because I'm friends with a couple of them. I guess, how about this? I'll phrase it differently. Who would I like to play quarterback for right now? And I think it would be the same for maybe the last decade. I probably would have said that Sean Payton, to me, is probably the one guy that I would like to play quarterback for that I never crossed paths with. Just watching what he's done in New Orleans with Breeze, and then this year with Teddy Bridgewater, Taysom Hill, what they do offensively with a bunch of different weapons. It seems like, for a while, didn't know who the hell Breeze was throwing to. They're still scheming guys open, so that's kind of what I'd go with. But yeah, Doug, for sure. Adam, probably, too. I feel good about either one of those guys. Let me know who y'all think would be if you guys could play for one play caller, who would y'all want to play with? Wolverine coach. Where do you coach at? What are the Wolverines? If you tell me, I'll answer your question about the high school football season that you keep throwing up there that I don't want to answer. Kyle Charles Searfalls. Thoughts on Jordan Love? Top 5 for sure. My thoughts on Jordan Love is that I didn't get a chance to see that much of it. I only watched one game, and it wasn't a great game. I know that people are really high on him. I know that there have been some comparisons to Patrick Mahomes with some of the ability he's able to throw, but Kellen Moore, somebody said? Man, you must be diehard Cowboys. Lost my train of thought. I don't even remember what I was talking about. That knocked me off the side. Who said Kellen Moore? I got to go in here. Ryan, come on, man. Bieniemy? No, yeah. I've been around Bieniemy. No, maybe he's gotten better in 10 years, but he was definitely, no offense to anybody out there right now watching this, because I'm thankful for everybody who's in here, but Bieniemy is a running backs coach. I mean, I know he deserves an opportunity now to be a head coach, and maybe he's gotten that much better over the course of 10 years. And I remember him being a beast as a running back. But when I knew him, he was a running back coach in all the running back coach glory. Who else we got? I mean, I figure Kyle Shanahan. Greg Roman. I think if I was a running guy, I would definitely pick Greg Roman. Sonora. All right, North Orange County. Yeah, okay. So Wolverine, you got me. I know there's a handful of San Diego high school guys in here too. I appreciate the support. The football season for high school football. I'm not breaking any news here. The answer is uncertainty, right, at best. I think that we all try to continue to stay as positive as we possibly can. I'm not obviously going to be able to give you an answer that you like and say, oh, we're going to be ready to roll to go on July 1. I don't know. I think the trends are making that look more difficult every single day. But, what the hell do I know? It's way above my head. I think at this point we're all just waiting for school to get back on campus. And once that happens, we'll figure out a way to play. I continue to remain optimistic that there will be some sort of a season. I really do, but I don't have the answer as far as what it's going to look like. And I'm, again, I've talked about it many times on this channel. I pride myself on being adaptive and being okay with uncertainty, and that's what we're in right now. That's just the way it's rolling right now. So we're going to do everything we possibly can, and we'll go from there, and we'll be fine. But I don't have a we'll get a full season in, or it'll be perfect, or no, we won't. I think for me it's about being real with our students and saying, like, I don't have the answer. I'm in that same boat as our students are and coaches as far as the uncertainty of it. All we can control is what we can control, and we got to stay the path as much as we possibly can in this kind of different world, and be ready to roll when we get that opportunity. So that's what we're trying to do. Let me know if you're trying something else. Casey J, outside Belichick, who's the best defensive coach? I like Zimmer in Minnesota. He was my favorite. I thought he was the best that I ever went against every single day in practice when he was in Cincinnati, and I was there. What potential do you see in Joe Brady going forward? Joe Brady, the coach? I mean, Carolina's in a full overhaul, aren't they? Except for McCaffrey. I don't think, you guys tell me if I've missed it. I haven't paid that much attention to it, but Cam Newton hasn't signed anywhere, right? It's one of those things where, I think the Joe Brady magic is going to be a little bit different in the league. I also think that LSU really did catch lightning in a bottle, on a bunch of different levels. Not to take anything away from their season. It was magical on many different levels. But, it's not quite the same as just dialing up some NFL schemes and going out there and rolling through the NFC South, when you got Tom Brady and Drew Brees in your division. Good luck, Joe. Yeah, Zimmer. Casey J, you know all about that double A gap blitz, no doubt. That is true. Yeah, he's still a free agent. That's crazy to me. Resistance bands. Yeah, you can get that prison workout too. We do those like resistance curls. Get the towel. Hey man, you got to do whatever you got to do. We do. Our high school football team just this week actually kind of morphed into two different ways. We were doing just body weight workouts via Zoom, and they're good. And I appreciate our strength coach does a great job bringing the energy and bringing the workouts and all those things. But there's a group of guys that needs to continue to get stronger, and have really bought into the culture of what it takes to dive into the weight room and get stronger. And so they've kind of morphed into like almost like a weightlifters club, almost like Fight Club to a certain extent. Like it's they take a lot of pride in it. Nowadays you got to show off your workout on social media, all those things. And so we're just trying to create that structure and system that allows them to thrive. So now we're doing a body weight workout for guys who don't have weights at their house, and that kind of a weighted barbell, dumbbell type workout for guys who do have it. So we'll see if it continues to go. I'm just really intentionally trying to keep that buy-in with the core guys and really bring more guys along as we continue to get closer and closer to hopefully having a good season and building that environment. But it doesn't happen by accident. You got to kind of create those structures and systems in place. And so everybody's experimenting, right? It's kind of like you're in the middle of a game, like, oh, that play didn't work, let's try this. And so now we're doing body weight stuff and weighted stuff just to kind of provide a little bit more comprehensive, holistic lift for our guys. Micah, 703. We're 703. Someone hit me up with the area code. Brady versus Breeze, at least twice a season. Considering their squads, who do you think wins? As a Saints fan, those games are my personal Super Bowls. I mean, it's one of those things, like for the longest time, it was always never go against Brady. But, without knowing anything about it, I think this offseason hasn't helped, Tampa Bay's progress when it comes to like getting Brady into the loop and all those things. So I'm going to roll the Saints. I'd probably roll the Saints regardless, especially at home. Every other one of those games is going to be in the Superdome, and they're a beast. Northern Virginia. All right, I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, those are the NFC South has got some great games. The Falcons-Saints games are always great. Back in the day when I was playing with the Saints, the Buccaneers were really good. We beat them twice a year. They won the Super Bowl. Those were amazing games. That was the first game. My first regular season game ever in the league was in Tampa Bay the year that they won the Super Bowl, and we beat them. And Charles Bentley literally kicked the shit out of Warren Sapp the entire game, and he was a rookie. And I was like, that dude might be the baddest man I've ever seen in my life. He dominated him at the line of scrimmage at guard. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was a fun game. We ran a lot of power. My goodness, we ran a lot of power. All right, what else we got? Oh, man, that thing flew by. We got over 100 in here. Appreciate y'all hanging out. Yeah, Bentley was a stud. He still is a stud, actually. If you guys are, if anybody in here is into offensive line stuff and you don't know about OLP, go check it out. It's a great website. He does things all across the country at multiple levels. I think he's got a great facility in Arizona. I'm a big fan. He's actually got a really technical, like almost biomechanic book about offensive line play that I've read. He's a good dude. Good dude. He was a badass. Still is, probably. What do you... Anybody who's wondering, see if we can focus. Little St. Archer blonde. Brought it back up today, just in case. Went long. My throat started hurting. Appreciate that. Sanitize up. You know, you got to model what you promote. Crush the sanitizer around here. Give these guys a little shout out too, if you can. My hair product. I'm not sure if you can read it. Oh no, here we go. Maisha in the house. Appreciate the support. Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm probably more excited than Omar is for him to get out there and play on Fridays. Hopefully he's still feeling good, getting better. But it's one of those things where, you know, I'm still kind of in the grieving process, as I'm sure, you know, many people probably check in on this thing from a bunch of different spots, right? But my young kids, you know, they really look forward to baseball. I really look forward to baseball. I manage 2 teams. You know, we're still kind of, you know, does Little League keep going out here? You know, I think I still feel really bad for the spring sports. I really haven't kind of like, I couldn't imagine being a senior and not having like my spring baseball season in college or in high school. Like I really, or if you're a, you know, an NCAA basketball player, you know, out here, San Diego State had a great year, you know, get no tournament. Like it just, I know these days continue to drag on and you know, it's a lot more serious in sports, but I still haven't like made that kind of like peace with that part of it to be able to even come forward and be like, what's it going to look like in the fall? Like in the fall is still, you know, tethered to so much uncertainty for me. You know, all you can do, again, you know, I say it because I do believe it, but the uncertainty thing of it is part of life. You know, it's obviously magnified when there are massive health issues and, you know, things that are out of our control on many different levels, both policy-wise and just kind of like understanding the comprehensive scope of a global pandemic. Like, it's massive. You know, high school football is below the table, but it's still important to a lot of people. And it's the most important, I think, to the students, just because there's a finite amount of opportunity. You know, you only get so many years. And so those experiences are really meaningful and shaping for a lot of people. And so you want to create a great experience, and you can't really have a great experience if you don't have a season, or if you have a shortened season or a truncated kind of experience. And so, you know, that certain level of uncertainty is frustrating for a lot of people, but that's the reality of it. And I think it is a good test. And I think some teams, I really do hope this, and I don't want to be, you know, kind of give away our secrets here, but I think some teams are going to use this time as kind of a trampoline. Some teams are just sitting around. You know, some teams might not have the structure or system to be able to take advantage of these type of things. Not that you can take advantage of it, but at least make the most of it, to maybe give yourself a little boost that another program or another system or another group of people hasn't taken advantage of. And it's easy to sit around and get in that couch mode but to be able to find a structure that you can still hold people accountable, they can still interact and understand what it's like to be part of a team, and it's not just football, it's any team, any program. To create that and hold that holding environment is really hard. And you have to be intentional. You have to have a lot of coaches bought in. You got to have an administration bought in, and you got to have the system in place, and then you got to do it. And you literally have to do it. And so, that's the thing that I think we're trying to do. We're still working through some elements of it, but feel really good about what we're doing, lifting wise, workout wise. Now, the football wise, we just need to be able to kind of accelerate what we would have been doing this time in the off season, because we still wouldn't even be in like spring ball. We'd still be doing kind of weekend stuff. And so we have time. And I think that there's an element of, okay, now we're going to ramp this thing up and really accelerate our learning, our process, what we're going to do install wise, and be ramped up to take advantage of this time, because it is an opportunity to at least separate yourself in certain paths. And so that's kind of what my mindset is with it. Cherry Krause. See, Peter, we waited all the way till almost an hour in before we talked Last Dance. That thing was, I don't know, it's dating me, but I really enjoyed. Probably the best thing about that Michael Jordan thing for me, besides for the scotch that he had next to him the entire time, was for me, I watched it with my 10-year-old, and he wears Jordan stuff all the time. Like, he knows he is more fired up. Our Patrick Henry high school that I coach at in San Diego, we're getting Jordan uniforms this year. Really cool program. Nike reached out. I was a Nike guy when I was playing. Nike gave us the opportunity to buy these Jordan uniforms. Pretty badass, I think. Like, I don't have that much Jordan stuff. There's only a handful of teams, in college football, I can think of like Michigan, Florida, maybe Alabama, that are Jordan teams. And so Jordan is trying to get into the high school football game now with uniforms. And so they're reaching out to 50 teams, I think, in the States, and only one in each area. So we're the only one in San Diego that's going to be rocking any Jordan uniforms. They are clean. They are all blacks with kind of bright gold Jordan stuff on it. I love them. The students designed them. They're pretty sweet. So my son knows a lot about it. He knows Jordan from that and the clothing. I know he doesn't have any Jordan shoes, but he knows definitely the kind of the image. And so he's watching it, and he is just like, it's starting to sink in, like, because all he's seen is highlights, and he doesn't know the story of the Bulls. He doesn't know the North Carolina, the championship shot as a freshman, getting cut as a sophomore. Like, all those things are great stories that like build up the mystique of what Jordan is. And then the competitive element, is probably my favorite thing about it. And it's hard to tell those type of stories if it's not first person. And it's great to see him kind of interact first person, story accounts from his teammates, from his former players, so many cool things. And now as a coach, I think it's fascinating. Phil Jackson is just, Zen master on a different level, to just be so calm, cool, know he's getting fired, Last Dance, stand by Scotty, players first, crazy impressive. And it was fun for me. I enjoyed it. Let me know, did you guys actually watch? Did anybody in here? I'm assuming most people in here probably watched that. All right, well, what do we got? 6:50. Again, draft Thursday. Locked in post-draft, online. We're streaming. Come with your questions. Oh, Michael, don't hit me with the Kobe, bro. Again, I'm excited. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. The draft list Wednesday. Tomorrow, Tua. Draft list Wednesday. Thursday, draft, post-draft, live stream. Fired up for it. Should be fun. I'm really geeked up to see where everybody falls. I think that there's going to be, my personal prediction is that someone moves up to take Tua in probably mid, I don't know, pick 4, maybe pick 5. We'll see. Let me see. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for checking in. Again, I appreciate the support, hanging out Monday nights. We'll keep it going next week. Y'all stay safe, and I'll see you Thursday, actually, before Monday. All right. Thanks again.